All right, gentlemen, what's up?
There, we're live, Mike. This is the post-game show.
It is the post game show, and we're ready to rock and roll here. Uh,
Mike, don't be in a bad mood. Jamie, you're muted. Mike, don't be sad. Don't be sad, Mike.
how could you not be sad
It
after
was
that?
a good game, Mike.
It was a good game.
Yes. Listen,
I have never
I'll
watched.
make the case. I'll make the case, Mike. Can I make the case? Let me make the case for you. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. This is actually like one of the I'm very heartened by what happened today because Notre Dame, they could not lose this game. And I said it to Jamie prior to or on the preview show that if Notre Dame doesn't win this game, they know what they can get from Pine. They know that it can be poor. They know that. They need to find a way to win when Pine does not have a good football game. And not only did they win when they didn't have a football game, they blew them out. So that's why, to me, it's like I'm not looking for evidence at this point that this is a good football team because to me, that's kind of like gone. Like you can't throw the ball. They can't throw the ball. Okay. And so to me, it's like you need to find a way to win as a coaching staff where it's like we have a limitation at the most important position in the sport, but we're playing a good team. And so we're gonna go out there and we're gonna win the game regardless, and we're gonna put it on them, and that's what they did. So that's my case. You can feel how you want, but that's how I feel about it. No, you can go.
Well, I mean, I realize you want to feel good about this and everything.
I do want to.
I know you do. And you bring up a point that hey, they found a way to win even though Pine played terrible. But
yeah,
why is Pine continue to play terrible? And why is he playing at all? And I don't think that this was a well called game by Tommy Rees at all. Especially, I don't even know what was going on. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be anybody's cheerleader today because
that's fine. That's fine.
It's just not.
I'm this is just point of view.
I think that the offensive line did a pretty solid job knowing everything that was going on. They did a pretty solid job. I thought everybody else did a pretty solid job. But I mean, you get six penalties in the first half. I mean, it was just like sloppy what was going on. And thank God the defense showed up for most of the game. Thank God they showed up for most of the game because who knows? I mean, they should have had at least 35 points in the first half, at least 35 points. And it was just frustrating to watch. And hey, it's crazy that we're going to sit here and complain after a 17-point win on the road, but you can, put all kinds of flowery crap on it all you want, but it's still crap. I mean, it's just there is no excuse to have an offense where a quarterback plays this poorly. There's just none. There's none. I don't care. How is it that Syracuse has a better backup quarterback than Notre Dame does? And this guy's been here for years. That kid
was better than the starter.
Well, I mean,
he was good.
How is it even possible? I don't know. Yama's up there. It's like he's stewing Jamie. Over there. I don't even know what the hell.
I can't hear you.
Yeah,
you're muted or something.
We muted you. Yeah, I guess we don't want Yama today.
There we go.
Turn it on there. Yeah, you turn it on. There you go.
All right, go ahead, Jamie. Let's hear it.
I think, the way that I look at it is, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Drew Pine is Drew Pine. And while I totally agree, you can look at the bigger picture, and I agree with Mike that, there's no way that Notre Dame should have this situation. But, I mean, that's something we've talked about for, basically since Buckner got hurt. They should have never been in this situation. They should have done something else. They should have had a better quarterback. And it's the reality is they have to find a way to win a game when you don't have a quarterback. And that's just the reality of it. And they did. The defense was great in this game. They were great. They they had 19.7% havoc rate. Guys are playing really, really well. Tucker only had 3.8 yards per carry. He basically had one 21-yard run, had nothing the rest of the day. And they were awesome on third down, which has been a huge problem for them for most of the year. And they've really turned it around there. So, and really, if you think about it, they're an offside away, and the guy stepping out of bounds, he clearly stepped out of bounds on that one play. That's why Lewis stopped running on that play.
Yeah.
From it being 17 points. So I don't know. Like, I mean, and you block another punt. Brian Mason, you hit a home run with Brian Mason. It's pretty obvious. Like, you know, I think a lot of guys made plays. They ran the ball. They did what they needed to do there. They had to run the ball, obviously. I don't think this was a good game by Tommy Rees. I think there was like a million times where I was like, why are you throwing the ball here? Like, that was bad. But I don't know. I look at it in the greater context of it, of like, Notre Dame, this isn't their long-term quarterback. And frankly, I'm not sure if Tommy Rees is the long-term offensive coordinator. So, and I'm not saying they should fire him or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know how much longer he's going to be there. So I look at it this way, like, this is a game that right now, Notre Dame, every game is going to look ugly. I can guarantee you, there's never going to be another game this year where Notre Dame's offense looks like they did against North Carolina. That's just not happening. It's not happening again.
Well, it's definitely not happening if Drew Pine's your quarterback.
Well, I know,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's pretty obvious that if Angeli was just like so much better, they would just play him. And he just might not be ready yet. And that's the only thing you can take out of it, because if he was ready, I mean, you're not going to settle for a guy who's thrown, you know, completing less than 50% of his passes for 3 straight games, right? Like, you just wouldn't. So, and then obviously they're not going to start Angeli his first start against Clemson. So, I mean,
this is it. Like, this is it. Yeah.
We got Pine the rest of the way. There's no doubt about it. So, I mean, there's just, it just is what it is. And it's frustrating. I don't think that you should coach it that way, but I think that that's what's going to happen. You know, Reese has got a problem too. I mean, you know, I know that everybody wants to say that, Angeli's way worse, and we don't know that because we aren't in practice and they are. But it would look really bad if all of a sudden Reese had to bench Pine, who's in his 3rd year, and was a guy he chose, plus Buckner has not looked good, and then you bring in the 3rd string quarterback. It shows that you couldn't develop the 2 that you recruited before that, by the way, you chose. And then what if Angeli plays better? Then then Reese is going to look really bad, you know? So, like, why haven't you been playing Angeli all this time? So it's kind of a bad situation no matter what. And we just got to trust that Angeli is worse. But what is worse, Jamie? I mean, what is worse? What could be worse?
Losing the game they blew him out.
No,
blew them out.
What could be worse in quarterback play is my point. You know, of course you could lose the game, but what could be worse?
Yeah, but that's not what we're reacting to the game.
I understand
the game.
That. We're talking about the
defense and the special teams.
We are talking about the quarterback right now. Okay, that's the problem that we have.
But
everybody knows.
I don't even need to say anything else on the quarterback. Drew Pine, we know he's not the guy. Tommy Rees, I think,
but he is the guy. He's the guy playing.
He's the guy playing. But he's not the guy long term. And that's just. So
why should he play? Is the point? Why?
Because you want to win on the road. It's like it won't make the team feel better, and it won't make anyone feel better if it's Steve Angeli who goes 9 of 19 and there's like a pick in there or a fumble or there's something like that. Like they needed to win the game somehow. Like I don't like the thing about Pine is that. I mean, like, we hate the term game manager, but like he can run the offense. It's honestly, you know what it is? It's like he's like the Houston Griffith of the offense, where it's like he's not gonna make the plays, but he's also not gonna do the thing. He's not gonna bust the coverage. He's not gonna turn someone loose, you know, and because that's what gets you beat, right? Like he can run what's supposed to be run, and so there's you know, kind of that part of it. To me, it's like this, the story of this game is the fact that like they went to Syracuse, who was ranked.
But first of all, Syracuse sucks. They just suck. They suck. I don't care if they're ranked or not.
Stanford sucks.
We knew
Stanford
that they
sucks. Marshall
absolutely
sucks. You have to go win these games. Like teams,
absolutely you
win
do,
the game.
and they did, and we got to be happy about it, and we are happy about it, and I am happy about it.
I don't know, Mike.
I'm just saying.
No,
like,
I am
think,
happy about
I think
it.
we should talk. I think we should like talk about the fact that like they won a game that if they lost this game, think of where it's going. If you lose this game,
but nobody's arguing that. Everybody understands that. Everybody understands if you lose this game that would be bad and it would be terrible.
And so they went and ran for 250 when everyone knows you can't throw the ball. They're running into stacked boxes every single time, and they ran for 250. The defense created turnovers. They had a pick 6 on the first play of the game, and it wasn't even a fluke. Brandon Joseph like jumped the route. They played really well on special teams. They knocked Schrader out of the game. Like they did the things they needed to do. Like to me, it's more important to me that I think that Marcus Freeman is a good coach and he can do a good job than it is that I feel like Drew Pine is the answer at quarterback. And so the takeaway from this game is that this is a good coaching job by Marcus Freeman. I mean, he outcoached Dino Babers. He had his team ready to play. He had his team ready to win when they got poor quarterback play. And they went and did it. Like that to me is the story. Is Marcus Freeman showing his chops. I mean, he's like the anti-Brian Kelly when he beats all the good teams on the schedule and loses to all the bad teams. Like that is, I think that's something that we can take away from this. This was a very important game for them, and they came out and delivered. Like that is my takeaway.
Okay. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said there at all. I think it was extremely important. I do. I think the story of this season is why is this offense suck this bad? And I mean, that's a story of this season. It's a story of this game, unfortunately, when it should be, as you talked about, Greg, it should be about they did all these other things that are amazing. But that's not what anybody's going to talk about. That's not what they care about. You know, and it's frustrating. I'm speaking for Notre Dame fans here. It's frustrating as a Notre Dame fan knowing that this team has lost a bunch of games that they shouldn't have lost because of poor quarterback play and it just shouldn't and poor offensive play. And this just shouldn't happen. And that's the frustration that people have. And again, you know, there's so many points that were left on the field today. And again, it wasn't all quarterback play. Some of it was play call. Some of it was, you know, what they were trying to do offensively. And that is the frustrating part for Irish fans. And I'm trying to speak for the frustrated Irish fans because I'm one of them watching it. It's so miserable to watch. It really is miserable to watch. But as you guys pointed out, hey, it's very important to win this game. They won the game. And there were a lot of positive things that were involved with this game. And you've pointed them all out. I agree 100%. It doesn't change the fact that this offense is still mind-numbingly frustrating, and they just shouldn't be this bad. And it's going to come back to haunt you when you got to play a team like Clemson, and it's going to come back to haunt you when you got to play a team like USC. And who knows who sneaks up after this? I mean, there's no guaranteed game. I mean, you know, if Notre Dame doesn't get all their
did you see what happened with UConn and BC today, Mike?
Yeah, but hey. We were all laughing about Stanford, weren't we? Yeah. And how
I don't know. I think BC might actually be worse than Stanford.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but they're not very good. Yeah, they're not very good. But, you know, so I don't know. We'll just have to see. But it's so frustrating because they just shouldn't be in this position. They just shouldn't have lost this many games. And, again, it's the offense. And Irish fans are frustrated with it and should be. So, but. Again, like you said, this is important. They had to win this game. It was absolutely vital that they win this game, and they did it despite the bad quarterback play. But I'm sorry, I can't be happy about that. I just can't. I can be happy they won, but it's too frustrating to watch.
If Notre Dame beats Clemson next week and Drew Pine
I think that there's exactly a very good chance they can.
But what I'm saying, if they beat them and Drew Pine plays exactly the same way, are we going to talk about that in the post game? Like to me, it's just kind of like
if he plays poorly, yes, yeah,
okay.
I will. Right. I will definitely.
I would love for Notre Dame to beat Clemson, and we come in here and complain about Drew Pine. That
Yeah,
would make me very
I
happy.
would be thrilled
I would-
too. I would be thrilled too. That would be a fantastic outcome. But I would be even more excited if they beat Clemson and Drew Pine played well and Tommy Rees called a good game, and gave them a really good chance to win. You know, if that happens, I'm going to be as happy as can be. So it's not like Notre Dame loses, right? And they lose, and Drew Pine plays fantastic, and Tommy calls a great game. I'm not going to come in here cheery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not all tied to that. It's just this is the frustrating part of it. So.
Well, one thing we should add, like they ran it 56 times and they threw it 19. So and there were definitely some calls.
They did take the game like official.
They did. Like I think from that perspective, you could say I think you probably should have said, well, they probably shouldn't have ran it 60 or whatever, right? I think that's fair, based on kind of and I think there's totally fair stuff too with some of the stuff with like against drop 8 on third down. Like I almost think you got to like direct, and that's where I kind of wish that I know Rees is up top. He's gonna still call the game from up top, but that's almost the point where you have to be there on the sidelines to be like, listen, man, like I got to talk to you to your face, like not even just over the phone. Like he could have hit, I don't know how many guys during those times when he was holding onto the ball there, just where he's just checking it down, just check it down, check it down. Like that, the pick that he threw with Mayer, like that was just a ball that shouldn't have been thrown. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that pick by Maris, first of all, great diving pick by him. Cross obviously got the hands on it too. But like,
I mean, it switched the game.
Yeah.
It totally did.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like, I think when you're talking about like Brandon Joseph obviously should have finished with 2 interceptions on the day. But like Brandon Joseph, Maris, those are 2 guys like you're desperate for these guys to make plays in this game.
And Patello,
and if they don't, and Patello too, right?
Yeah.
And if Foskey had a great game too, obviously had a clutch sack at the end as well. Like if those guys don't make those plays, like Notre Dame doesn't win the game, and so they needed those guys to do it. So, I thought it was a really really good game from the Notre Dame defense, and I think even like if you look at it, they obviously went after Morrison quite a bit, and I mean. Yeah. It's just going to happen. Like that's how everyone has approached it. Cause you got a freshman starting a corner. Like that's what's going to happen. You're going to get and he got beat a couple times too. Right. And that's just, I mean, guarantee you're going to see that a lot against Clemson. They're going to go after him again and again and again. But really like he's obviously the best guy to play there. So you just got to kind of live with it and see where that, and I mean, outside of that, like I think, they really didn't give up too much. And even some of those throws that the kid in the second half made a couple like really nice throws over like a couple of those were like very close to being picked. They were just like seeds that the guy threw. And I mean, he ended up being like only 50% completions and stuff too. So, I thought the defense played really, really well.
I thought they did most of the game. Yes, absolutely.
Was there an explanation about Lindsey?
Didn't see it because Lindsey.
I didn't see anything either.
He just wasn't out there. Like it doesn't.
Did he even play at all? I mean, I
he
didn't
played in the second half. He got some reps, and he was on punt team.
He played on punt team, and it did a good job.
Like I don't know if he got in trouble or what, but like in the first half, I didn't see him on offense at all.
Might have just been that Colsey.
It was a Colsey's
a rising, yeah.
Good. I mean, good for Colsey because like literally up until this week had not heard, had not heard good things about where things were going with Colsey. So. That's great because I think obviously you see what kind of athlete he is and and then all of a sudden you're throwing out Colsey and Merriweather and Jaden Thomas and Styles. And it's like, okay, now you got like something you can build off of with the young wideouts there. Right. And obviously you got to get better quarterback play, but at least you got that talent out there. And that's very big because I think most people would have said, I mean, there's a lot of people just like, oh, I guess he's transferring, right? Like they just assume that. I think so. It's very big if he can like continue to be a contributor here the rest of the way.
I wanted to make a comment about Rees in the offense too, because this is where it gets kind of in like the weeds on like he's calling good plays, but then not for the offense. So like the first drive, it's 3rd and 3, right? And he they go 4 wide, and or they get into a kind of a spread formation. They do straight drop back, and he has Mayer in the flat, and he misses him. Right, he's wide open. And so you look at that, it's like, well, he's open. You got to hit the throw. Well, the thing that I don't get is you open in heavy, you open in 13, and then you go fullback dive to estimate twice. So this is what you want to do. You want to be a power team. So you're in 3rd and 3. So then go power again. Like you're in a field goal position. So it's like you're in that range where it's like, why don't you just go power and go for it? Like go run it twice. Because you're already up. Or you already have the touch. It's 7-7. Run it twice, and then you don't get it. And you kick the field goal and you miss. The next drive starts and you go heavy again. It's like, why don't you just go heavy on 3rd and 3? Like that's the type of, and they do this a lot.
He pulls Estime and puts Tyree in there and tries to run him outside, and you're second down and 12. You know,
we need to get.
That's the problem.
We need to get understanding as to who is responsible for that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's him.
It has to be.
He's the guy who's calling the plays.
But I'm saying Reese tells McCullough, like, put in Tyree. I want to run this play.
I don't know. I'd assume
that's what I'm talking about. Like, I think Tommy's calling it as if like I'm calling it no matter who the back is. And
I don't know. Because it's a good question because. You know, there were times where I know we all sat there and went, why is Tyree in this critical moment? You know, and you know, to his credit, he did pick up that first down, but then the second time you're running and it's just like, this is such a critical moment. Why do you have Chris Tyree trying to pound the ball inside? Now, again, to his credit, he did pick up the first down on the first group of series, but then they ran it to him a couple more times. It's like, this is not going to happen. That's not his game. That's not what he's good at. And there's
his
a bunch of
that throwing that little flare out where he gets 10 yards. I
don't understand. Don't understand. There were so many calls like that today, and you're just shaking your head, going, "What are you doing?" I mean, it was funny because it's like I told my wife, here we get to the red zone. It's like they march down the field, no problem, until they get to the red zone, and then it's like everything that got you down there goes completely out of the window, and then it's just a whole bunch of grab bag, and it's like I don't get it.
It really actually reminds me a lot, and obviously too, like my dad was a longtime high school football coach, retired now, but like, you know, when you play high school football, obviously there's some years you got a good quarterback, a guy who's going to play college football, and then sometimes you get a guy who, you know, completes 50% of his passes and is really good at handing off, you know, right? And that's kind of where Notre Dame is kind of in a high school offense where they're just like, you know, extremely limited by the quarterback. And that's why too, like, I think, you know what, I don't think like, the game plan was great in terms of like, you know, running the ball that much and like knowing that you're doing that part of it. I don't have any beef with. I think that's like a very good job by Reese. It was obvious what you had to do and you did it. But like, it's that thing, what like Greg said, it's, you know, it's all of a sudden you make this call with Tyree and, you know, or you run that toss to Diggs there. And it was like, you're better off running the quick screen game or something. If you're going to do something like that and you want to get it out, like you're not going to be, if they're going to chase, that's what they're about is speed, right? So they're going to be able to run that down. So if you're not going to run at them, then or even just spread it out and then run it down inside against them, right? And I think even too, like something like, and I get it, like third and medium, you know, maybe on a normal offense, you'd say like you're going to throw the ball, but like going empty on third and medium, it was just not a thing that worked well with Pine. Even if, and I know Pine isn't like this great runner, but even there, you could have called like quarterback draw something just once or twice there just to try kind of get something because it obviously was not working.
Well, there's a number of times too, he's not even using play action pass. It's like you're running the ball like crazy and you're not even play actioning off of it. I don't, if you're going to throw it, fine, but at least have the threat of, you know, you may hand the ball off. And so again, it's crazy because it's like Pine and Reese are almost hand in hand where 75% of the time they do a really good job. but that 25% happens to come at the most critical moments, and it's just not functioning. And I don't know what the answer is, but what I do know, it was funny because my wife was sitting there and she's like, well, he can't play him in the second half. And this was right before the last drive, before the second half, or at the end of the first half. And I said, well, if he scores here, we're definitely going to see Drew Pine the rest of the game. And sure enough, that's what happened. And everybody's like, okay, well, we're going to see Angeli here. And then they gave up the touchdown. And so then we have to bring Pine back in. And this is where we're at. You guys are exactly right. This is it. This is who we have, and this is what it is. But it doesn't make it any more frustrating to watch.
I wanted to point out in the press conference afterwards, Freeman said that Lindsey he was sick. He was sick and didn't really practice that much. So Colsey had gotten a bunch of reps, and so they went with him. So that's why we didn't really see him that much.
Worked out pretty good.
It worked out good. I mean, look, and good for Colsey, man. Stepped up and made the plays. I mean, in terms of, though, I will say, we're hard on Pine. The throw to Mayer right before half, it was a huge play. That was like, and it's obviously a great catch by Mayer. It's a little bit short. But, look, you gave your guy a chance and he made the play. Like, in terms of the game and how the game flow was happening, because he had just thrown the interception and it looked like it went bad. First of all, the defense standing there was huge. I mean, that is just like, you talk about moments where the game completely swings. Pine throwing the pick and then the defense holding right there. And then Notre Dame then getting the ball back
and then scoring,
going down and scoring like that. That really made it so like
difficult on Syracuse. Yeah.
Yeah. Syracuse was like really in a bad way at that point. So, and then Notre Dame gets the ball to start second half, drives down, and they kick the field goal. And now it's like, Syracuse was able to score 10 straight, but it's hard to come back from a big lead like that, as we've seen. So, Jared's man.
Do we have some comments or questions?
There's a lot of comments, just like not really going in on Pine quite a bit.
Put up Rajon's question.
Safety valve?
Yeah. So I think he means just like a check down kind of thing. And I mean, McElroy pointed it out on the telecast too. Like there were plays where Pine took shots where there were very low percentage passes that you got to throw the check down.
Yeah. And
I don't know why. I actually don't know why at all. Like I don't know. That is like kind of mind boggling to me, because I understand like when Brandon Wimbush was going through his stuff and he didn't want to throw that check down because he was like, I'm going to throw this in the dirt, like he was, it was in his head. And I don't know if it's in Pine's head or whatever, but like, I have no idea why he doesn't like, usually when you're waiting that long, you're not looking for the bomb. You're looking for, okay, like, it's like deep to short, right? Or like, so I don't know why that's the case, but it just seems like there's always a guy there, especially too when you got like backs that can make people miss, or Tyree can get to the corner and beat somebody if he's got an angle on somebody. Like I'm just not sure why they don't why he doesn't throw that more often.
So a couple of people have mentioned screens, and there's a bubble screen in here. They did that stuff. It's just like there was one they missed. They threw one to the Styles. They got 5 yards. They had one to Styles set up really nice. I really like the call too. It was on 3rd and 7. It was going to go. He skipped it to him. But that's a problem. I feel like we should talk about Estime, who 3 carries. I mean, fresh legs, right? Like so he has fresh legs. The 3 carries last week, and then this week obviously has a huge game. I mean, obviously needed too. And it wasn't coach speak when Freeman said like, hey, we're not, we haven't given up on him. We're going to ride him and that sort of thing. And they did, right? They gave him the ball in the first 2 plays of the game. And he came through for them. And I think when people talk about, he got sat down last week. And I think for a coach, it's like, look, if you're going to punish me in the moment, then I get it. But don't hold it against me for moving forward, right? Like, give me a chance. And they did. They gave him a chance, and he came through with a huge game. I think that's good coaching on the part of McCullough. And then that's Estime kind of answering the bell as well. So I thought that was really good to see.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And again, I think that this is the frustrating part about it is you can see the pieces are starting to come together, right?
Yeah.
The receivers are starting to make some plays. I mean, a great play by Jaden Thomas. I mean, that was great route, great catch, and it was not an easy catch either. I mean, that was a contested throw, and you got to come down with it. So the pieces are starting to come together, and it's just so frustrating that you're just sitting here with a bad quarterback situation. And I mean, if anybody ever wanted to know how important a quarterback is, we're seeing it right now. And again, I don't want to pile on Pine. He's doing the best job he can. That's just who he is. And when people were hard on Reese for the same reason, that's just who he is. It wasn't Tommy Reese's fault that was the best quarterback they had, that he was the best quarterback that they had. So Pine's doing everything he can to be and lead the team and do everything that he can. So it's not a personal situation. It's just frustrating to watch because defense plays pretty well, right? And the other pieces on offense are starting to come together. And so you're like, man, this could be pretty good. But man, it just is what it is. So,
I mean, the rushing disparity in this game. So Notre Dame runs for 246 on 56 and Syracuse runs for 61 on 25.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the game right there.
No,
right?
certainly. I mean, if I'm huge. Clemson, I'm a little bit worried about what Notre Dame can do running the football. I would be, because, obviously you're going to try and take Pine, make it a situation where Pine has to beat you. That's what you're going to do. But that only works if they shut down Notre Dame's running game. And Clemson's been kind of up and down defensively, in a lot of ways. And so, it's crazy because we saw so many fans, Jamie, we were kind of chuckling off the air. So many fans were giving Notre Dame a chance or not giving them a chance in this game. And I'm like, have they watched Syracuse? They're not very good. They're a disciplined team, and they usually play pretty sound football, but they just didn't have a lot of great players. So I knew Notre Dame, if they just showed up and played well, would win the game. But it's just a matter of playing well, and you win the turnover battle, you're going to win. So in a game like this, and so great job by creating the turnovers, and gosh, talk about just that punt block. I mean, oh man, that's the game right there. You know what I mean? That was the game. That's the game, and it's just such a huge momentum play. I don't know what Mason makes, but it should be doubled today.
I think he's getting a raise. Yeah.
I mean, it should be doubled. Whatever it is should be given double that. So there's so much to be excited about this team, and it could be a good football team if they just kind of get some of this figured out. And I think that's the frustrating part is, it may not get figured out. And I'm not sure that there's a magic bullet that Reese can suddenly pull out of his head or whatever. I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah. And I think the one thing too, is that there's Clemson. This is a prime opportunity to beat Clemson. This is like not a great Clemson
this is
team.
not a great Clemson
This is not a
team,
typical, he just played at the end because it was the end of the game.
It was same. Yeah. He was fine.
Like Clemson, I mean, Clemson and USC are the two best teams left in the schedule. They have massive flaws, right? Both those teams. Clemson's got some quarterback issues too. And
Clemson's not that much different from Syracuse, by the way.
No, they're not.
No, I mean, they just barely beat them, right? And I mean, obviously they have more top end talent, and that's the
for sure
thing, right? So they have guys that like a D lineman who can take over a series. They have that kind of talent, right? They
don't have a Yama though.
Oh well, I mean,
if they had a Yama, right? We wouldn't have a chance in this.
I mean, just give them the
pure
natty
dominance.
Right now.
Absolutely.
Give them the natty right now, right? So
absolutely.
But
everybody's looking for a Yama.
I think that with how things are set up, it is really all based on how Notre Dame plays, because that the rest of the teams they're playing this year, like actually we talked about how last year's schedule was not a good schedule. This year's schedule is not really a good schedule either, right?
Even though there's a lot of ranked teams, there's just not a lot of good teams.
No, there's not a lot of good teams. And I think that's like kind of goes for really most of the country, really, right? Because like, I mean, Clemson's undefeated, but they're not like, I wouldn't put them close to that really like top 3 or top 4, really, right? Like, I think they'll get exposed if they make the playoff, right? Like, and I think that's kind of where it's at. But the thing is with Notre Dame is you just don't know, like you said, if you play BC or Navy, like if you play bad, you could lose that game because you aren't going to get bailed out by a quarterback making a play or anything like that, right? So you really have to play well in all other areas of the game. And really that's what happened. Like they won because of running game, defense, special teams.
All right. So I'm gonna pitch this to you two guys, and I want to get your thoughts because I think this is going to be the difference in the game next week. We know Clemson's going to do everything they can to shut down Notre Dame's run. And if they can do that and make Pine, have to beat them, that's a difficult situation. If you're Tommy Rees, this is coming. Everybody knows it's coming. What do you do? How do you design plays? I don't understand why they never get him outside the pocket. And oftentimes, again, you want to run the football. I get it, but it's amazing how much difference Pine looks, when you're having to run kind of an up-tempo offense like they did, in the 2-minute drill at the end of the half. He's just a much more efficient quarterback, throwing the football. Now, obviously, that goes against what you want to be as an offense and what your strength is. But at the same time, you still have to be able to throw the football and make some plays. So if you're Tommy Rees, we'll start with you, Greg. If you're Tommy Rees, how do you design a game plan this week, knowing full well what Clemson's going to do? And if they can shut down Notre Dame's running game, they're going to win. It's just really that simple, unless there's a bunch of turnovers and that type of thing. But, that's what they're going to do or at least try to do. What would you do if you're Rees, Greg?
I would do a lot more shorter throws on first down. That's what I would do. Like RPO type stuff, like all the bubble stuff on first down.
Agree.
Because that's when they are going to be completely geared up to run. And you can do it out of the formations they've been doing. So it's not like you can tip it off or anything like that. I think you need to put it on the wideouts a little bit more in terms of being physical and winning the blocking out on that side, right? You put so much on the offensive line to be physical with those guys, but it needs to be all the way around. They need to be the more physical team in this game. And that's difficult because Clemson's built on physicality and that sort of thing. But I think you do need to challenge them that way. And I also think it's important not to be intimidated by the fact that Clemson is trying to take this away. Like every team has tried to take it away. You know what I mean? Like you do have to be the team that you are. And what happens is it's like, oh, we're going to zig when like a zig instead of zag and that sort of thing. Well, that's how you get into a situation where you're like, I mean, this is kind of a throwback, but this is how you get to a situation where you're Chip Long and suddenly you ran the ball 40 times against Georgia in 27, or threw the ball 40 times against Georgia in 2017. It's like, you can't do that, right? Like be who you are and go that way. You do. I mean, I do think that Rees tried to take shots in this game and they just didn't work out. I would say don't be afraid of that. Like that is the formula to win.
I agree.
So that's what
I mean. Tobias could have come down with that ball. He just
it's kind of short and
it's kind of a tough catch. But I mean,
he's got to put it over.
Yeah, but it's a catchable ball. My point being, there's shots there. You just gotta convert on them. All right, Yama, what about you, buddy?
Well, it's funny because Syracuse, that's kind of what they do is they play a defense that's designed to kind of take away the shot plays, right? And they don't give up a lot down the field. That's one of the things that they've done. So they haven't really given up. Like even that play to Mare, that's not a play they've given up very much this year, right? Like they're one of the best at it. I think actually they might have been the best at giving up the least amount of 20-yard receptions all year, right? But on the other hand, I think, Clemson, they do that because they play more aggressive. They play more aggressive. They play tighter. And I think it's, you play who you are, you try to run the ball on them, whatever. And obviously they're going to stack the box, but it's going to be key. Pine can have his normal, 50% completion percentage type game, but he's got to hit like 3 or 4 shots down the field. Yeah. And so they're going to get those one-on-one matchups and they got to win it. And that's really what it comes down to. So the main thing is Pine has to give his guys a chance, because, he can't overthrow those ones like he did against, Stanford and UNLV. Like he has to give his guys a chance. And if he gives those guys a chance, then you can see what happens. But really, like there's going to be a point too. We know that if the game is put on Pine's shoulders, that he's got to win the game. You just have no confidence in that is actually going to happen. But if you get into a situation where it's close and you can, manufacture first downs and eat clock and run the football in the fourth quarter and kind of wear down, because as much as you say, like Clemson, they bring it, whatever, they're fast. They got a bunch of good athletes. I still think Indy can out physical them. I still believe that if they stick with it, late into the game.
I think, Greg brought up some good points on throwing on first down, but, and I think that's important. I really do in this game. I think it's going to be important, but, a play action pass too on first down. I would like to
I don't
see,
mean I really hate this like 4 wide, straight drop. Everyone runs 5 and turn. Like I don't like that.
And I think I think middle of the field too. They've been effective. Unfortunately, Pine's a little short, so it's tough to hit a lot of those middle of the field plays. But if you watch kind of Clemson in the past, this year, they've given up a lot of stuff in the middle of the field, and I think that there's opportunities there. And if you hit them early on it, they're not gonna be able to come so hard crashing down on the run. But I think it's important for Notre Dame to hit something early in the passing game to kind of open things up and not be 100% married to, okay, we're going to run the ball 7 times. And, if it doesn't work out, we'll punt and then we'll figure out what to do after that. I do think you have to keep them a little bit off balance, at least initially, and get your quarterback in the game. Get him a couple easy throws so he gets some confidence going. And so, I think that it's important in this game. I don't think it was as important, and I liked what Reese did. I liked the game plan. It was what he needed to do until he got to the red zone, and then I'm just scratching my head, going, "What the heck are you doing?" So, it's not an unwinnable game. It is definitely a winnable game, and if Notre Dame comes out ahead on the turnover battle and they play smart, I think there's a real good chance they can win this game. And what would that do for this season and this team and their confidence? You beat Clemson, that's going to be a big, big win. It is such a massive game for Marcus Freeman. It really is. And, we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm excited to watch it. We just got to hope Pine plays a little bit better and hits a couple of those plays. If he does, we're laughing about this game. You know what I mean? We're just laughing about this game. And it was the same thing last week. Just hit a couple of those plays and we're laughing. We're as happy as we can be. And that's really the difference. And it's so frustrating, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see it though, because I think it'll be a fun game to watch. And I do think Notre Dame has a real good chance to win.
Yeah. And like winning this game makes it so it'll be a lively environment, right?
Way better crowd.
Notre Dame loses and goes 4-4. It'll just be kind of dead again. And this crowd will be legit. I think people will be excited for it. So it was this was a huge win on that front as well. So,
and I think it's so important in the Peyton Bowen sweepstakes. I really do. Oh yeah. If you can beat Clemson, I think that will probably be the thing that'll seal the deal. I really think so. I think this is just a kid who likes Notre Dame, wants to go to Notre Dame, but he's just not sure which way this program is headed. And I think that's where some of the uncertainty is. And I think that's for a lot of guys. And you go out on the road, you win this big game, and look, the score looks way better than the outcome. I mean, it should have been even bigger than it was. But, anybody looking at it went, oh, wow, Notre Dame beats a ranked team on the road by 17 points. I mean, that's impressive to a lot of recruits. And so, win this game, and wow, you've got something now. And it's really important for 2024 recruiting as well. I expect they'll probably have a number of big time players there, and got to show up, got to play well. And I actually think Notre Dame's going to play well. I don't know whether they're going to win, but I think that you can see, guys, like there were times there at Stanford and other times where you're just like, I'm just not sure that this team has it mentally right now.
Yeah.
But even the big plays they gave up on defense, I mean, you can tell this defense has got it mentally. They just got to limit a few things, but mentally they've got their juice back, and so it'll be fun to watch. I'm excited.
And I think just like the way I started the show too, like the recruiting piece is obviously super important, but even for I think us, like as fans watching, we want to know, like, does Marcus Freeman have it? Like, is he? Because there's one thing to say, like, okay, people say, oh, bad hire, this, that, and the other thing, and we don't really know, right? And so we're looking for, like, we just want to see, like, this guy, he can coach, he can build this program, he can actually do the things that he's talking about. And I think for someone like Peyton Bowen, like that's the same thing. Right. And so like, sure, you want to win, but it's like, we all can kind of tell, like, is this team, like, is it a well-coached team, or is this just kind of like guys going through the motions and not really doing anything. Right. And just kind of spinning their wheels. And I felt like today, when you take away the Pine stuff and you just look at the rest of it, was a well-coached team, well-coached game.
I agree.
They were ready to go, and they came out and they took the game, by the horns, and they went and took it, right? And it didn't have to go like that. So that's like, to me, that was the thing that really heartened me about the whole thing, is just like, I want Marcus Freeman to be the guy. And today was some evidence in the positive on that one.
I agree 100%. Go ahead, Yama.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think really probably the most encouraging thing from this game for me was, obviously you get off to the great start, you get the pick six, but they give up the touchdown right after, right? But that was it. Like, they responded after that, right?
Yeah.
And like what Greg mentioned about, they turn the ball over, all of a sudden you throw a pick right before the end of second quarter, you get a stop right away, right? That kind of thing. So like, that's what Notre Dame really has kind of been built off of, is they've played complementary football, right? It's like the offense picks it up when the defense isn't doing it, the defense and likewise. And this game obviously was more defense and special teams doing it, but still, like, they're able to do that, and knowing, like, because that's just how it's going to be. You need that the defense and the special teams to carry you, and they did, right? So that's the other thing too. Like, I think like all of these like little things that have added up into this game too, where all of a sudden, like, Clemson, now they have to spend like an extra like 20 minutes each practice being like, hey, we got to make sure our punt team is all set. Cause like, they're definitely worried about Notre Dame blocking a punt against them.
Well,
right?
how could it not be?
I mean, they could not be. I mean, they amazing too, because I always think that like field goal blocks are kind of like, I mean, they count, but they're kind of cheap blocks, because it's usually like a guy like Teron Jones just sticking his arm out and, making a block like that. It, occasionally you'll get a guy from the outside coming in, but most of the time that's what it is, a big D lineman getting some push or whatever. But punt blocks are like really earned. And like all of their kick blocks have been punt blocks, which makes it even more amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I see this here. How about some Botello love? We did talk about it, and I mean,
deserves
get
it.
him on the field, man.
Glory.
Yeah, get him on the field, man. I've been saying that for a while. I want to see him. It's amazing how these guys come in and they play well, And again, we didn't see a lot of mistakes from Botello. I didn't watch. I'll have to focus, on the replay to see whether there was some plays that I missed that he maybe made a mistake, but he looked pretty solid to me when he was in there. It was the most minutes he's played in a long time. So that was encouraging. But, and again, I think, Jamie and I talked about on Power Hour, they really needed a good coaching job this week. Yeah. And they really did a good job as a coaching staff on this. They really did. And so you gotta be real pleased with that. And it was really, really important for them to coach well in this game. And so, go out on the road in this kind of environment. It's not easy. There's a lot of reasons that teams lose in Syracuse. It's just not an easy environment to play. So, and it's always that first thing in the morning type of thing. And it's tough to get up for that. So, all right. Well, if we don't have it, do we have any questions? If we don't, we'll just wrap up.
Not really, just mostly comments at this point.
All right. Anything you guys want to add before we go?
I'll just say that morning after Postgame, my recap show in the morning tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, 6:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m. So wake up, talk about the game after we've digested it and everything. I'll have a bunch of PFF stats and all those other stats. So pop in for that. And if you're listening for the first time, this is your first time, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. The notification bell lets you know when we're going live. So you're going to want to check that out. So yeah, hopefully we see a bunch of everyone in here. Hopefully we see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, we'll be here after Clemson too.
Yeah. Last thing I just want to add too, because I know some people in the comments have been mentioning it too. The officiating was garbage in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to hit that hard tomorrow.
The officiating was garbage. I mean, it's always garbage. The ACC refs are a joke. They're continually a joke every week. Like I always say, Pac-12 refs always get the hate on Twitter. That's because I don't know why. Because I feel like probably more people care about the ACC than Pac-12, and the refs are horrible in every game. And it goes both ways a lot of times, but in this game especially, the guy stepping out, not called. That offside, they didn't even get to show a replay. Was he offside? I mean, didn't even see a replay on it. Numerous blatant holds by 63, not getting called. Horse collaring Mills on one play where it doesn't get called, should have been a sack, right?
Well, the actual sack they won, they did get. The guy had Foskey's jersey. I mean, he was literally just pulling it, and they show the ref standing right there. He's looking right at the play, and there's no way you could see it because the angle was just obvious. He's grabbing his jersey while he's trying to pull and go chase the quarterback, and it was just man, and you don't call it. I mean, it was terrible.
And then the non-substitution allow them to substitute was egregious because I mean,
I love Freeman. I love Freeman going off on that.
You can't blame him. It was totally justified. It was a joke, and and Notre Dame had them. Whatever, they converted anyways, but still, he could have walked in for a touchdown there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is another play that probably didn't get talked about enough, but Tucker is short of the sticks. The ball is a yard short of the sticks. Ref just walks up. First down. They didn't review it. They didn't I know. It was just a joke the whole time.
It was.
And just whatever. It's the kind of thing, obviously they win the game. It's not close. Okay, fine, whatever. Still, that's that takes away probably 7 points at least from Syracuse. So yeah, there's my rant. Sorry.
All right, you got to have one. Everybody's got to have a rant. Yeah. It's important. We didn't really get one from Greg, but Greg's not much of a ranter. I am definitely a ranter.
I'll save it for you guys.
All right. Well, don't worry. I'll take your turn.
Okay.
All right, guys. All right, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, folks. And we'll be on after Clemson as well. And like they said, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching.